Good morning and welcome to The Edge for Friday, April 12th, 2024. I am Devonne, Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining me on the program for today. It is just 1 minute past the 11 o'clock hour, and again, thank you so much for joining. This program is being carried live on ZIZ TV, ZIZ's YouTube page, and YouTube channel, and ZIZ's Facebook page. And the numbers to call when we open the phone lines later are 465-2555 or 718-5772-916. You are listening to The Edge, and I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius. Today's program, I want to look at things happening on the local scene, and of course get your views and opinions on these things happening in St. Kitts and Nevis, and how we benefit from them, and what does it mean for us overall. I was unable to be here yesterday, but on Wednesday, was it on Wednesday or Tuesday? The Prime Minister hosted his round table discussion on Tuesday of this week, where he used the opportunity to update the press and the general public at large on a number of projects and initiatives or activities happening within the government, and different things that they will be focusing on in his upcoming travel to the Middle East. So St. Kitts and Nevis will engage in international discussions to acquire investments in a variety of areas for economic diversification. And all of this is aimed at diversifying the economy. As you know, we heavily rely on the CBI, where much of our revenue is made up of the inflows from the CBI program. And so these international discussions are aimed at reducing our dependence on the CBI program. Dr. Drew noted that he will be traveling to the Middle East, where he will be going to Abu Dhabi, and he will be meeting with a team that he met in Dubai previously and who came to St. Kitts and Nevis to discuss a matter most important to us in achieving our sustainable island state agenda, and that is the issue of renewable energy and geothermal. He mentioned that geothermal energy will be at the center of discussions, and he said this potential holds promise for our developing nation as a clean source of energy, which will help us to transition into the sustainable island state. Dr. Drew, who is also the minister in charge of the CBI program, will participate in a conversation about the program while abroad. He said, I will travel to Dubai, where I will participate in a CBI panel discussion to discuss our program as it is now being repositioned. According to the Prime Minister, the area of focus, or the other area of focus, would be in the tourism and hospitality industry and other investments in the country that would cover a wide spectrum, including water. And so renewable energy, the CBI program, tourism and hospitality and water, these are some of the areas that they would be focusing on in terms of diversification and investments. So I just thought that I would share that with you. Now, also at the roundtable discussion on Tuesday, the Prime Minister spoke about his recent interaction or meeting with the Regional Security System, RSS, Council of Ministers meeting, and Dr. Drew is the current head or the chairman of the RSS Council. And on Tuesday, he used the opportunity to call on the nation's youth to, quote, leave the life of crime, stressing that he wants young people to have a real opportunity and a real chance at life. He said it cannot just be using security forces people would oftentimes say the response to criminal activity, crime and violence in our communities is to have the security forces react. The point that he was making was it cannot just be, using security forces, but it has to also be developing other social programs because, he said, we want people to have a real opportunity and a real chance. So social programs, security forces, all of these things are geared towards reducing criminal activity in the country. He said, quote, "These are our citizens at the end of the day, and they should be given the opportunity to really develop themselves." He highlighted areas St. Kitts and Nevis in the Caribbean would be focusing on to tackle crime. And one of the things he mentioned was the region looking at movement across the Caribbean and how they can better track it. This is definitely an area that needs to be improved. It should not be a case where one could commit a crime in one CARICOM member state and travel to another member state without being detected. And so you've committed a crime in one state and you're now moving to another without any detection whatsoever, without any trail, without any history of the criminal activity that you may have committed in that previous country where you were. And so Dr. Drew said this is something that the ministers of national security and, of course, security agencies and bodies have been looking at and will continue to look at in terms of mapping out a framework or a plan of how to deal with this. And he said they don't want people to be going from one area to another carrying out crimes without being detected. And he said there will be closer collaboration among the Caribbean and more training in detecting criminal activity. And all of this ties into border security. Our border security really needs to be improved, St. Kitts and Nevis and across the Caribbean region. So in order for this to work, I would say in order for the proper tracking of the movement in the region to work, border security has to also form part of the planning and the discussion. Cybercrime as well, he said they are looking at, and security in general, in dealing with how climate change affects security, because he mentioned sometimes there's a devastating hurricane or a natural disaster in one territory, and as a result of that disaster, people are being displaced and will move to another country. And for whatever reason, records are lost and they are unable to track or detect or, give a proper history or background of that person or people who are moving. But cybercrime has become an area of focus. Right now we're hearing of people being hacked, financial institutions and these things being hacked. Unfortunately, some do not take it very seriously until they become victim to this. So he did mention that they are looking at that. The National Security Minister said, quote, "Climate change can have a significant impact on security," while referring to countries that have been negatively impacted by natural disasters and forcing people to relocate to other territories and not undergoing the necessary security checks. Guns and drug trafficking is also an area of concern for the Caribbean, and he spoke to what they are doing to address this. He said, quote, "The obvious threats we know are guns, and we just see them coming through the Caribbean." You guys would hear me make the point all the time that we don't, as far as I know, produce guns in the Caribbean. And so it always begs the question of where are the guns coming from? How are they getting into the Caribbean? How are they getting into the country? And this is definitely something that you need to look at, because if you're going to address crime and violence, of course, these are the, I would call them, component parts that you need to look at. So he said we have looked at that risk and a number of measures on the regional level that have been put in place with us partnering with international partners such as the UK, Canada, and the United States of America. He mentioned that they formed a vetting center to strengthen the security, more training and civilians in the region to deal with the scourge of guns. United States and Caribbean leaders have been jointly prioritizing efforts to disrupt illicit firearms trafficking to address the rising levels of crime in the region. It is 12 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Edge for Friday, April 12, 2024. I am Devonne, Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on the discussion for today. I am looking at some of the developments coming out of the Prime Minister's roundtable discussion on Tuesday, where he updated members of the media and the population at large about some of the happenings in the government. Now, we know that there is a water situation in St. Kitts. I posed the question as to what is actively being done to address the situation, and how far are we with the well in Keyon and these things. The Prime Minister, he made mention, and I think also on his Facebook page as well, that the water trucks have been going throughout the communities to offer water to people, but the Keyon well is to come on stream very soon. There have been some delays, he said. Apparently there was some equipment that was not installed at the right time, and so because it was just, according to him, being laid there, it was no longer in a position to be used. It was no longer in a position to be used, and so it's almost as if they had to go back to the beginning and start all over again. I don't want to hear your thoughts. I do want to hear your thoughts on this, and so we'll open the phone lines in a bit and take your calls to share your views and opinions. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we will continue the conversation here on The Edge for today, Friday. Stay with us.
Let me see what I want for Mother's Day. You know what? I think a foot spa. That would be just right. Attention all businesses. Mother's Day is just around the corner, and it is time to show appreciation for the amazing moms in our lives. At ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, we invite you to reach out to your customers with our exclusive advertising opportunities. Capture their attention and make their Mother's Day shopping experience unforgettable. Don't miss out on this opportunity to celebrate moms and boost your sales with ZIZ. Call us at 465-2621 or visit our sales and marketing department and let us work with you to achieve your goals. ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, connecting communities every day.
I would not stand with her again.
Hello and welcome back to The Edge in ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host Devonne, Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining me on the program for today. If you are just tuning in, I shared earlier an update from the roundtable discussion on Tuesday, where the Prime Minister mentioned that he will be traveling to the Middle East to have discussions on investments, securing investments for St. Kitts and Nevis in geothermal and renewable energy, hospitality and tourism, among other things. And he also provided an update on the meeting that the Ministers of National Security in the region had with the RSS Council. They make up the council. It is 11:15. Let's open the phone lines and we'll begin accommodating your calls at 465-2555. Let's take our first call for the morning. Hello, caller. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Yeah. Good morning, Devon.
Good morning. Welcome.
Okay. I missed you yesterday, but you don't explain. Now, according to what you read out, I said, the Prime Minister has gone to the Middle East to meet with investors, investment or whatever it is for the CBI and the geothermal affairs.
Well, not investment for the CBI. For the CBI, there will be a panel discussion, but the investment is for geothermal and renewable energy.
Right, okay, thank you, yeah. Now, I wonder if Dr. Joe expects a lot of us to believe that, because he is on record saying he was interviewed by someone earlier when, after the election, he said he was every night he's bombarded with telephone calls from people who say they were waiting for the government to change for them to come here to invest. If he was bombarded with calls from investors, well, why should he leave here and still go up in the Middle East to look for investors? Anyway, enough of that. I'll come to something else and then I'm going. Now, I have a friend, and he gets a job, and he's working in the cemetery to make sure that he keep the dirt grave them clean, maintain them, only the dirt grave. And he getting pay every week, and he's not doing that. Instead of cleaning the dirt grave, he's cleaning the concrete tomb grave. No, that is wrong. He wasn't employed to clean the concrete grave. He employed to clean the dirt grave. And I want to know your opinion. Your opinion and my opinion doesn't necessarily mean you're wrong or right, but we have an opinion.
Well,
Let me hear you.
You say you have a friend, so he told you that he cleaning the dirt grave?
Yeah, I know that. And I see him no, he ain't cleaning it. He get a job to clean the dirt grave. And he not cleaning the dirt grave. Instead of cleaning the dirt grave, he are wiping off the concrete tomb grave. And he ignoring the dirt grave, which he was employed to clean. But he collecting the pay for a dirt grave cleaner, not the tomb cleaner. Do you think that is right? I'll come after you. You give your opinion, okay?
All right, caller. Thank you for your contribution to the program. We have more callers. Devonne and open. We're taking your calls 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. You're listening to The Edge for Friday, April 12, 2024. Let's head back to the phone lines. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Okay, we lost that caller. 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. You're listening to The Edge for Friday, April 12, 2024. I am Devonne, Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining me on the program for today. If you're just tuning in, I shared earlier that the Prime Minister will be traveling to the Middle East, and this is coming from his roundtable discussion on Tuesday to secure investments in geothermal and renewable energy, tourism, and hospitality, among other areas. And also at the discussion on Tuesday, he called on the nation's youth to leave the life of crime. Those are the two areas that we are focusing on for today, and so we are taking your calls on that. Let's head back to the phone lines. Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Devonne.
Good morning.
Yes, just to comment on a few of the items you raised. With regards to water, the person in charge of the water department gave a very enlightening interview yesterday, explaining quite a bit about what's happening with the water. And he was very forthright, didn't pull any punches, and basically said that we have failed to keep in line with the developments in other areas like housing, hotels, and that sort of thing. And that's why we've fallen behind in terms of being able to supply the demand. You know, everything should have been going in tandem, right? And that has not happened. He was very upfront in saying that and blamed successive administrations, actually, for the state that we're in. Okay? What I took away from the interview yesterday, too, was that the political directorate is getting ahead of themselves, right, in terms of the department having to clean up behind them after making premature statements, okay, about availability of water. And so the deadlines and so on have passed, and we're still in the same situation. I think, yes, they may have been under pressure to deliver, but at the same time, they must be upfront and accurate and truthful with the project as to the exact state of where we are with the water. And I think the water department head made that very clear in his comments yesterday. And it does seem that relief is on the way. And what was very reassuring was the fact that he made it very clear that the department that he leads, collectively, they will not put water into the system that is not potable. Okay, and that was very reassuring, regardless of what pressure people might be under to deliver.
Right.
It's very important that we keep our water safe.
Yes.
You know, the water that is delivered safe. With regards the geothermal and investment for that, I would have thought that a lot of the millions that we got from the CBI, that was a sure bet to put money into. And it leads us to wonder how things are prioritized, right? Because if that is now seems to be the replacement for the CBI, you know, we should have used CBI funds to make that project further, it should have been further along. And one of the things that is kind of concerning is that it seems to be almost like a tacit agreement between the leaders, federal, the Prime Minister and the Premier. And I don't think it should be like that. It's too important a resource to leave to the personal chemistry between two of the leaders. It should be open to public discussion. The agreements, whatever they might be, legal and otherwise, should be open to the public because it has so many implications for the future. So let's hope that there's more openness and transparency when it comes to that.
Well, I'll tell you this much, Carla, with regards to geothermal. I have been hearing about geothermal in St. Kitts and Nevis specifically, for a very long time, as far as back as I could remember, 2009, 2008, thereabout. I even remember some shirts that were created called My Energy. I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about, right? So for me, I will believe it when I see it.
When you see it.
Yeah, I believe it. And I stand by that statement because, again, I'm talking about how long, we've been in the conversation about geothermal. I'm not here to say whether it is going to happen or if it's not going to happen. What I will say is I believe it when I see it. I'm happy that these discussions are happening, but yeah.
The thing is, the development so far indicated that the resource is there.
Right.
The extent of it, though, may still be a problem because you don't know, I guess, until the production wells are dug, that it actually is possible. There are so many parts to this, and to me, it doesn't sound as if this is going to be something that's going to come on stream, in next year or even the year after. To me, it seems that it's going to take a while. And so, as a replacement for the CBI, that's still down the road. You know, so yeah. I mean, bearing in mind what has happened over the past years, it is one would be kind of apprehensive as to really if the resource is gonna be developed. You know, they've been hearing it forever. You know, but yes, you know, we're hopeful still. Okay, because really and truly, it would be a game changer if it is developed. But
Yes.
you know, to me, it should have been prioritized, and we use our considerable funds that we got from CBI to develop it if it could have been developed. You know, and we would have been reaping the benefits all now. So let's wait and see what's happening. Like you, I wouldn't say I'm skeptical, because I don't think the Caribbean Development Bank would have poured money into it if there wasn't a fairly decent chance of it being developed.
Right.
But that's just not a drop in the bucket. It's significant funds. It's what, 17 million euros or something like that?
Yeah, about that.
Right. So it is significant funds, but to really develop the thing is going to require a lot more than that. And somebody made a point last night in a program that I was listening, that you're going to the Middle East to discuss funding geothermal, which would take the place of fossil fuel, most of which come from the Middle East. That's an interesting way to look at it. It's almost as if those investors would be cutting off the nose to spite their face. They were so heavily invested in fossil fuels, and now they're going to be essentially developing or funding something that's going to take the place of fossil fuels. You know,
All right.
but interesting.
All right.
All right.
Thank you for your contribution to the program. It is 11:27, and you're listening to The Edge. The phone lines remain open. Call us at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. You're listening to The Edge for Friday, April 12, 2024. I am Devonne, Cornelius, and thank you again for joining me on the program for today. We have any callers in the line? All right. So the caller was making reference to the water situation, and not having access to water or running water, let's be real, let's face it, is very frustrating. If you don't have electricity, I think we could live with that, you know, because you have generators or whatever. But when you don't have water, that's a whole different ball game. That's a whole different ball game. What I'll say to this is, I don't know what the internal planning or plannings or whatever have been like, and what the water services department or the officials or the technicals or what have you involved have been doing. But we have to do better. We definitely have to do better. We know that with climate change, which is real, it is real, and it has been negatively impacting resources in the small islands in the Caribbean, small island developing states. And so, while there may be an aspect of perhaps people not doing what they're supposed to be doing, I think climate change also has to form part of the conversation. But the Prime Minister said something on Tuesday that stuck with me, and all of us at times are guilty of it. People would tell you straight up, well, I'm paying for that water so I can use it how I want to use it. And while you may be right in the sense that you are paying for it, you're still wrong in the sense that you're not paying the real and true costs for water. So I'm saying all of that to say we got to be more conscious of how we use water. We can't use water and say, well, I'm paying for it and water must run, so I'm going to waste the water deliberately. And I'm going to use it for things that I have absolutely no reason to use it for. I think there are certain changes that we can make that would, in the long run, benefit us. And we have to find a way to remove the ignorance or the arrogance or the politics out of everything and really look at how we could positively contribute to certain things. I do agree that the water situation is horrible because not having access to water is not a pretty sight. It is not something easy to deal with. But whenever water officials, those from the Water Services Department, environmentalists, call on our population to conserve water and to find ways and means of water conservation, we need to hear that call. We need to answer that call. So the government has a responsibility to provide water, and the population has a responsibility to conserve water. It goes hand in hand. It goes both ways. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation for today. Stay tuned.
Let me see what I want for Mother's Day. You know what? I think a foot spa. That would be just right. Attention all businesses. Mother's Day is just around the corner. And it is time to show appreciation for the amazing moms in our lives. At ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, we invite you to reach out to your customers with our exclusive advertising opportunities. Capture their attention and make their Mother's Day shopping experience unforgettable. Don't miss out on this opportunity to celebrate moms and boost your sales with ZIZ. Call us at 465-2621 or visit our sales and marketing department and let us work with you to achieve your goals. ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, connecting communities every day.
I would not stand with her again.
And welcome back to the Edge and ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. The phone is open. We have callers on the line? We do. Let's take some calls. Hello, caller. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Yes, Devonne. Now, Devonne, geographically, the U.S. St. Kitts is laid out. We shouldn't have to be so short up with water. I agree that the atmosphere makes a difference. But when we had cane going, every sugar estate and St. Kitts has a lot of dirt road going up to the higher heights. And to every dirt road, they used to get some hole dig out to the side, call them sluice. So the water was running, coming down, all of it would not escape and go down to the bay.
Yeah, it would catch in the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So myself and other people have been talking about it for years. We've been telling them, have those sluices cleaned out and let it collect water. So when they go in there and the water going in our earth, then we will have, you could dig well anywhere. Some of the water would be potable and some would not be. But who am I and who are the others? We didn't go to no university and a college, but we went to Common Sense University. So therefore now, if they had done what we advised them to do years back, we would not have been so short up with water. Thank you, Devon.
All right, Colin. Thank you so much for your contribution. Better planning definitely has to also form part of the conversation. Better planning and the fact that we're dealing with climate change and what are we doing to respond to the changes or adapt to the changes to climate change definitely needs to form part of the conversation. It is 11:35 and you're listening to The Edge in ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne, Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining me on the program. For those of you who are just tuning in, though, I shared with you that the Prime Minister will be traveling to the Middle East to have conversations on securing investments in geothermal and renewable energy, and tourism and hospitality will also form part of the discussion. And he also shared, that he provided an update on a RSS Council of Ministers meeting that was held recently, where they will be looking at movement throughout the region, cybersecurity. There were other things, of course, that were not mentioned, because it is national security and you can't really broadcast everything that you're doing in terms of national security. But movement throughout the region and cybersecurity, those are two of the areas, and how climate change affects security. Those are two of the areas that the region as a whole would be focusing on. That is what we are talking about today, and we want to hear from you, get your thoughts, views, and opinions on this. A caller made reference to an interview that the chief water engineer, I think that's what you meant. You can call back to correct me if I'm wrong, but the chief water engineer had, and he was explaining the water situation and all of that. And I have here a quote from him, which I will share because I don't have the audio. So he said, quote, "The Kenyon well should have been online already. They had some technical issue in terms of the pump that BEAD procured. The pump that they brought in, basically there were some problems with the pump. They had to reorder a new pump. I think that pump has arrived on the island this week. So that's April 8th to 12th. To the best of my knowledge, and so I believe that in a couple of days, maybe as early as tomorrow, which is today, April 12th, or the next couple of days, they should be back on site, completing the pump test, the test to determine what is the safe, sustainable yield for the well." He continued by saying, quote, "Once that is determined, and we do some further quality tests, then the well should be ready for service." So I say it could be as early as maybe a week or two from the 11th, or it could be outside of that, but I cannot commit completely to any time because, as I said, this is still BEAD's project, and they are the ones who have to complete everything and then hand over the well to the government. He made those those remarks during the April 11th broadcast of Island Tea on Win FM. That is the chief water engineer speaking on the water issue, But I made the point earlier, and I'll keep making the point. Not having water is really not a beautiful thing, but it's how we respond and I don't want to say adapt, but yeah, how we respond and how we adapt to it. Definitely important in terms of dealing with this water situation. So better planning. Every year, I'm not an environmentalist or a water specialist or what have you, or a water engineer. But for me, and I'll tell you this much, I can never understand that every year we know around a specific time we're going to experience less rainfall or go through a period of drought or what have you. We know that this is an annual thing, and we know because of the harsh effects of climate change, it will continue to worsen, because those larger countries that have the financial resource and other resources to make a impactful change, quite frankly, are not doing everything. So I said that to say that we know that this is an annual thing, basically, where climate change and the rainfall and drought and all of these things, it begs the question, or it brings into question, what are we doing to prepare for this? What are we doing to prepare for this? So preparation, better planning, all of these things, from, of course, both those in charge of providing the water and those who are consuming the water, which is all of us at the end of the day. What are we doing to prepare ourselves for climate change? What are we doing to adapt to the harsh changes? And I say harsh changes because they're coming fast and furious. What are we doing? So I made the point earlier and I'll make it again. The government's responsibility, of course, is to provide clean potable water. But I believe the responsibility of the population, the consumers, is to conserve water. And don't just have this mindset that because you're paying for the water, you could use it how you feel like. Use it knowing that one day, I ain't gonna have no water. So conserve the water, It's 11:41 and we're taking your calls at 465-2555. You have any calls on the line? All right. 11:41, we wrap up the discussion just before noon to make way for the midday newscast. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Edge for Friday, April 12, 2024. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius. So just to share some more of what Williams said, he said, quote, "The well is still being completed by the contractor BEAD. So we thought that they should have been completed by now. It's almost completed, as persons passing by, driving by on the road would notice the pipes have been connected and everything. However, before BEAD hands over the well to the government, they have to do some tests, of course, quality and quantity tests. The quality tests were done and the water meets World Health standards in terms of, as I learned before, here's the maximum permissible limit. You test for the various things that are normally found in water, including arsenic." He said, "Over time, Sinkis has developed tremendously, and we did not keep pace with the development of our water resources." That is the short answer, he said. We did not keep a pace in terms of the rate at which we were developing additional sources of water, many wells. So when we talk about Sinkis right now not having enough water to distribute, there's water scarcity. People need to understand what that means. He said we get a certain amount of rainfall. A lot of that rainwater goes into the ground. And so when it rains really heavy, intense, a lot of rain in a short time, the guts run, some of them. But outside of that, most of the year, when it rains, a lot of that rain goes into the ground, and so we have a resource beneath our feet. It's like in some countries you would go and you would see a large reservoir, a storage dam, and they might dam the river, or you might see rivers running like in Dominica. He said, in our case, it is there, but it is out of sight. It is underground. We have a lot of water in the ground that comes from rainfall. It is an annually replenished resource. Every time it rains, it goes in. Before we started pumping out some of that, what happens is that eventually it will escape under the sea. So there's still a lot of water that flows in the ground. It escapes under the sea. Right now, we estimate that we are capturing through our wells about roughly 50% of that water. So potentially, it is a lot of water that is still to be obtained by drilling new wells. So the water is there, but it is to drill new wells to get the water. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we will continue our conversation for today. You're listening to The Edge for Friday, April 12, 2024. I'm Devonne Cornelius. We'll take this break and we will be right back.
From the heart of ZIZ Radio comes a political talk show like no other. The Edge, with host Devonne Cornelius giving you his take on the biggest stories happening in governance today. Got something to say? Let's hear it. Give us a call at 869-465-2555, Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. One solid hour of in-depth analysis of the machinery that makes our country tick. The Edge, cutting into the matters at hand.
For For one day only, Office Machines and the Xerox brand of photocopiers are doing it again bigger and better. This time, it's Triple 12 sale for VAT Day, 12th April 2024, with 12% discount and 12% VAT reduction on any Xerox photocopier, printer or scanning device and solution. Come now and make your arrangements for sale and delivery. Remember, it's one day only, April 12. We can boast of having the most experienced, knowledgeable and trained field service repair, maintenance and engineering staff in St. Kitts and Nevis to keep your machine working for a long time to come. Call us in St. Kitts at 465-4046, 663-8819 or 9559 or 7756. And in Nevis, call 469-5883 at the Solomon's Arcade in Charlestown. Terms and conditions apply.
Reach for DPH Cough and Cold for all your cold and flu symptoms, relief, rest, and ready again. Also available in children's formulation.
Get ready, St. Kitts and Nevis, for the first annual Jesus in the City Parade and Festival on Saturday, May 18th, 2024 at the Warner Park Stadium. Celebrate love for God and love for people throughout the city with festive floats, live gospel bands, choirs, costumes, banners, and paraders filling the streets of downtown Bastille with praise and worship. The opening festivities kick off at 11 a.m. with a parade leaving Warner Park Stadium at 12 noon, moving along city streets and returning to the stadium for a grand gospel concert celebration. Enjoy music featuring special international guest artists, local bands, food and festivities for the whole family. Come lift up the name of Jesus in the city on Saturday, May 18th, 2024. To register your church, enter a float, secure a vendor booth, or to become a sponsor, visit jesusinthecity.com or call 662-8911.
Jesus in the air.
Hello and welcome back to The Edge and ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne, Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on the program for today. The phone lines are open and we are welcoming your calls at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. We have some callers coming in, and so we're going to head back to the phone lines and we're going to take some calls. Hello, caller. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, caller. Good morning.
Yes, you can hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay. With the water situation, as you say, now the government or private people, anybody who building houses, do they think about assistance underneath or to the side? You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, when I went St. Thomas the first time, where I was staying, I was walking in the floor and my foot put up on something. So when I asked them, because on a rug, the rug covered it, when I asked them, they tell me they have an underground system. You understand what I mean?
Yes, I know what
so
you mean.
Maybe that here wouldn't want none under the house because there's a lot of weather time and earthquake and all kind of things. You understand what I mean? But they could put it to the side that all the water will waste in. They could catch, each house could catch. Maybe they could give me some and all. No, yesterday was my birthday.
Happy belated
so,
birthday.
I thank the Lord for sparing my life yesterday and for today. Because there's nothing I can do. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too. And happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution to the program. Yes, let's have another caller.
Good morning, Devonne. How are you doing?
Hi, caller. Good morning. Welcome to the program. I'm doing good. And you?
And I'm giving God thanks for the rain. I've been urging everybody to prepare rain, you know. To tone down the heat. Let me start by sending birthday greetings to Ronnie Rascal. You know, today's his birthday, he'll tell you. Ronnie Rascal bring the cake.
He listened to you.
Yes, he was my student.
A very big cake for them.
I don't know why he learned, but I taught him. And today, of course, is our first Prime Minister's birthday. Do you know that?
I did not know.
Really? You mean the nation first, and then you have Sim Daniel because of the thing we have. Neves was able to get his first premiere.
Yes.
But as they should have been celebrating because he's the first prime minister of the nation.
All right.
You know? So, and he transformed this country, you know. All the governments have done, right? But the extent of his involvement, his policies, transformed this country.
All right, Colin, quickly go ahead, because we soon have to wrap up.
Yeah, so I'm telling you now that you know, please get to it. The first prime minister, but then it is ignored on the national station. Not good enough.
All right, let's. Oh boy, you're listening to the Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host Devonne, Cornelius, and thank you. There was a brief pause because I thought the caller was going to make another contribution. You're listening to the Edge. The phone lines are open, and we're taking your calls at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. Just a few minutes left before we wrap up the conversation for today. Just in time for the midday newscast. If you joined late, I shared earlier that the Prime Minister, during his roundtable discussion on Tuesday of this week, he mentioned that he will be traveling to the Middle East to secure investments in a number of areas, including geothermal and other aspects of renewable energy, as well as tourism and hospitality. Let's head back to the phone lines. Have any callers? Oh, I thought we had a call on the line. Yeah, let's take the call. Yeah, take the call. Hi, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, Mr. Cornelius, good morning.
Good morning.
I think sometime last year I had called concerning, these noise with some of these vehicles. I mean, I don't know if they can get these people who drive this vehicle with this loud noise to kind of tone it down. I don't have a problem with them having music in their vehicle, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
But, sometimes we as blind persons, when we are on the street, a blind person depends on hear song, you understand?
Yes.
And when you got these noise, something you want to cross the street and this noise with some of these vehicles, you can't get to concentrate because, you have to listen to hear where the traffic is coming from. And when they have all of these nights, you cannot hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
Man, sometimes, Mr. Cornelius, sometimes 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, you wake up, you could hear some of these vehicles passing with these loud. What is really going on?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, listen to the music, to the confinement to yourself. Why all these blistering noise? It was appalling when, Good Friday, when you had some of these vehicles passing on the main road with some of these kind of music, loud on Good Friday. So I am appealing again, let them take into consideration, we have blind and visually impaired persons in the Federation, and we are the ones who have to depend on hear song, sometimes to cross the streets and, different stuff. And I just want to say, happy birthday to Randy Rascal and belated birthday to Alice. Thank you so much.
All right, Colin. Thank you so much for your contribution to the program. You've been listening. Let's take this one last call.
Good morning.
Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
How are you, Devon?
I am doing good. And you?
Yeah, to your voice. I got an issue. I want to big up Ronnie Rascal, please. Sexy Paula.
Okay, Paula. Thanks a lot, darling.
Happy birthday. And to the Prime Minister.
All right.
Yeah, Dr. Simmons. Love you, Devon. Your voice sexy. You're running.
All right, Colin. Thank you for your contribution, and you take care.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
All right, you too. You've been listening to The Edge for Friday, April 12, 2024. I've been your host, Devonne, Cornelius, and thank you so much for your contribution to the program. You guys, until next time, stay safe. Continue to enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. Whether you're using this weekend to, I don't know, do what you want to do. Spend time with family, friends, party, lime, go to church, go to the beach, picnic, whatever you want to do. It's totally up to you. But don't drink and drive, and don't text and drive. And take your time on the road. See you guys on Monday, same time, same station. Have a good one. Bye-bye.